So I want to do a quick demonstration of the mechanical shutter and the difference between the continuous high and the lenses that can get the 12 frames per second and ones that can't, and what that sounds like. Basically, we know that all of the cameras with any autofocus lens can do 20 frames per second in electronic shutter, but there's only certain lenses that can get 12 frames per second in mechanical shutter. So I wanted to do a quick demo of a lens that could and a lens that can't. So this is the Canon 85mm 1.8 lens, very sharp, fast focusing lens. As you see, the cost is about $419 on B&H. I'm sure you can get them cheaper. This is unfortunately one of the lenses that will not get 12 frames per second on the R5 or R6 camera. Interestingly enough, the Canon 50mm 1.8 STM lens, which is the latest Canon 50mm 1.8 lens, only costs $125. And this lens will actually achieve the 12 frames per second in continuous autofocus with the R5 and R6. Here's a test with the 85mm lens in continuous high. Notice when the lens is not compatible, the white H plus will blink on the side. Okay, now here's the 50mm 1.8 lens. Notice the green light is lit up, which means 12 frames per second. So again, here's the 85. And here's the 50mm. One of the other things I found out was interesting was that the 70-200 2.8 version 2 wasn't on the list originally, from what I'm hearing, or isn't on the list, but I was able to connect it up and I'm able to get the 12 frames per second with that camera and lens combination. Also found out that this is not brand specific. The Sigma 135mm 1.8 art lens, as well as the Sigma 120-300 2.8 sport, were both able to achieve 12 frames per second. I can only verify the Sigma 135 because I did rent it and I did get the 12 frames per second in mechanical. And another person who I trust gave me their feedback with their R5 and R6 cameras, and they said they were able to achieve the 12 frames per second with their Sigma 120-300 lens. So when you're shooting in a continuous high plus mode, if you have a compatible lens, you'll get 12 frames per second, and you'll get a green light to indicate that. Then it looks like if you have a white light, you'll get 9.2 frames per second in the continuous high. And if you have a white light that's blinking, you're going to get 6.8 frames per second in continuous high. The 12 frames a second again. And here's 12 frames a second on my 1DX.